Yeah, so it's an interesting idea because this is a dynamic that at the very beginning of our Psych 201 class we explore in pretty good detail because initially psychology and philosophy were running a lot closer together, like in the initial phases pre-Wilhelm Wundt, kind of transitioning psychology into a more hard science. Because a lot of times you'll hear people describe psychology as a soft science. And like if you want to get on like a psychology person's nerves, that would be a very easy way to do it. Because it is very much not in a lot of ways, and that's a big part of what differentiates it from philosophy because there are definitely philosophical principles that get worked into all of these varying psychological theories, but philosophy is sort of the pursuit of knowledge and epistemology and the way people think and process and sort of breaking down an idea at its very core elements. Like that is a piece of the puzzle, and Jung was way into that because he was kind of in that early group. Jung, Freud, a few other of their contemporaries, Alfred Adler, like people sort of in that group. Rorschach would be on that list too. Like they are people that we refer back to in our psychology class relatively regularly, but Paris can tell you this. I don't refer to them with a whole lot of love, I guess is the way to describe it. Fondness, because I would definitely trend more a little bit more in the other direction, which is more on the hard science side of things, and the more
Clinically.
yeah, and the more like empirical piece of it. Because my degree is in experimental psych, so I'm like a big research guy, and that's one
Nice.
of the hard things about like philosophy is we can't really study it in the same way. We can't really structure an experiment to say, this person's right or this person's right. We don't, that's not really how it works. It's fundamentally like about systems of thought and ideas themselves rather than sort of, I can tell you how the brain processes ideas and I
Yeah.
can, look at a brain scan and say, okay, um, here's the systems that kind of make us feel a particular way about a particular stimulus. But when it comes to breaking down, again, the philosophical elements of that, that's not really my thing, but it is an important thing, and it's very much an important part of kind of how we got to the point where we are now, psychologically speaking.
I think it's staying with that. The law of attraction is
Mhm.
such a unique thing, and there's this mysticism behind it. And it's kind of tied to, like you said, the soft science of it. But it's very interesting how people are more inclined to make decisions or fall into cycles of behavior because they envision the steps they might need to take within their life to get to the next goal. So I think that's, I don't know, how do you feel about that?
In terms of being able to like visualize how to get to a point, this is why things like representation are really important. This is a big thing for me, both in depicting people of particular genders, people of particular races, people having disabilities or not, showing them in a situation where they can get to a certain point career-wise, um, and the relationships that they can form and the jobs that they can get, like all of that is very important because if you don't have that frame of reference, if you don't have that ability to, if not, plan it out specifically, if you don't have any, like I said, frame of reference, any conception of what that would look like being able to say, and people underrate that. People think, okay, well, just, make it happen. Like, why do you need a reference point? Why do you need an example of somebody, getting to a particular place? I'm trying to think of an example, but okay, this is a great one. It kind of refers back to so I'm a big sports guy. Paris will tell you that I refer back to sports things pretty much constantly. So my team, Tottenham, they're my favorite soccer club. They won a very important trophy this week. They won the Europa League, and their manager, this guy named Ange Postecoglou, is the first manager ever outside of Europe or Argentina to win that particular competition, any European competition. That's a big deal because it's really important to the club and their fans, but it's also a big deal because if you are a person who grew up in Mexico or he's from Australia, if you grew up in Asia, like you wouldn't have no Like, why would you think that it would be possible for you to be